Okay, but you mentioned a photo that reveals a different side of Kyle, like a glimpse into his past, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
You must be talking about the black and white portrait from 1992.
Yes, yeah.
The one where he's sporting a high top fade instead of his signature gray buzz cut.
Yeah. He looks so young and serious in that picture. It's almost like seeing a completely different person.
Right. It reminds us that everyone evolves over time. Appearances change, styles shift, even personalities mature. It's a good reminder that even someone as seemingly well-known as Kyle Leifat has a history, a journey that's led him to where he is now.
Absolutely. And as we get closer to wrapping up this deep dive, I think we're left with this much richer understanding of Kyle Leifat, the man behind the name, the stories, and the achievements. We've uncovered this fascinating blend of personal details, professional success, and, those quirky little things that make him unique.
We've seen the dedicated family man, the fierce competitor, the loyal friend, the video game innovator, and even the guy who's secretly terrified of seagulls.
And don't forget the hyphen.
Oh, right, the hyphen. It just goes to show you everyone has layers, depths that go way beyond what we see on the surface.
So true. Okay, as we wrap up part 2, I think it's time to leave our listener with something to ponder. A final thought to chew on. What do you think?
Given his fear of seagulls, those cryptic tweets about them, and that story about his fictional death scene with Steven Spielberg, do you think Kyle Leifat might secretly harbor a desire to star in a Hitchcockian thriller?
Ooh, now that's a question. I can totally picture it. Kyle Leifat facing off against a flock of menacing seagulls in some suspenseful psychological drama.
Yeah.
It's a pretty tantalizing image. Like a potential plot twist in the ongoing narrative of his life.
Right. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe someday we'll see Kyle Leifat's name on the big screen, not as a video game character, but as the star of a thrilling cinematic masterpiece.
Back in 2021, when Cicely Tyson passed away, there was a huge outpouring of love and grief from Hollywood and a lot of people. But there was another side to this whole story that not everyone may be aware of, and we're going to be looking at that today. We're going to be examining the accusations that were made by a guy named Kyle Leifat.
And this is really going to force us to, look at how we as a society deal with some pretty serious allegations and accusations.
Yeah, and what makes this deep dive particularly interesting is that Leifat's frustration wasn't just about the abuse itself, but the perceived lack of support that he felt compared to all the attention that everyone was giving to Cicely Tyson.
Yeah, he really highlights that contrast, and it brings up some really important questions.
So let's get into it. Can you tell us a bit more about Kyle Leifat? I know he's worked on NBA 2K, but what else should we know about him before we kind of dive into this heavier material?
Well, yeah, you mentioned that he's a project manager for the NBA 2K video game series, but he's also a singer-songwriter, so it's almost like their worlds collided in this very unexpected and unsettling way.
So what exactly did Leifat accuse Cicely Tyson of?
He claimed that Tyson raped him when he was 11 years old back in 1985. And what makes it more complex, of course, is that these accusations came out after Tyson's death.
Right. Yeah, that's a very serious accusation. And, I understand Leifat went on Twitter and he didn't hold back. He was very vocal about his anger and his frustration with the way the public was reacting. What was he saying?
Yeah, his tweets were very raw and emotional, and he called out specific celebrities who had publicly mourned Tyson. We're talking Rihanna, Marlon Wayans, Bette Midler, Dionne Warwick. Big names, people he seemed to know. I mean, he used phrases like, let's be clear, I'm seriously losing respect for you, Rihanna, and Marlon Wayans, she got you too.
Yeah.
It's very pointed, and you got the sense that he was feeling betrayed.
There's one tweet in particular that I remember reading that really stood out to me. He said, I'm disgusted and pissed off at myself. I want to throw up at all of this already. Just a lot of pain and anger.
It's clear that he felt like his pain was being totally ignored, while everyone else was celebrating Tyson's life.
And it wasn't just about feeling unheard either. It felt like he was questioning everything that people thought they knew about Cicely Tyson.
You're right. He was really challenging the public perception of her as this icon.
Yeah.
And one of the more interesting things he did was compare Tyson to Maya Angelou, who he called a real queen.
I remember that.
And it gives you a sense of Leifat's values, who he sees as being truly worthy of admiration.
Yeah, that comparison really stuck with me. It's like he was saying, look, here's someone who really embodied greatness, and Cicely Tyson doesn't measure up.
Yeah, it speaks volumes about his disillusionment and anger. He felt like the public had it all wrong, That they were focused on her legacy, but ignoring the possibility of this darker side.
So connecting this back to the bigger picture, what can we understand from Lifeat's Twitter outburst? What was he trying to say, and how did it play out?
I think on the surface, it was just this outpouring of raw emotion, a cry for recognition. But if you look a little deeper, there's a lot more there. He was struggling with this feeling of being silenced and of having his experience completely overshadowed by everyone mourning for Tyson.
And that feeling of not being believed or acknowledged, it could be so isolating and damaging, especially with something as traumatic as sexual assault.
Exactly. And you see that isolation in his tweets. He kept saying things like, let my voice be heard, instead of getting it buried somewhere in the trash, It's like he was desperate for someone to just acknowledge what he went through.
He even said, a queen for what? He was challenging the whole idea of how people saw Tyson.
Yeah.
Like demanding that people look beyond the public image and think about the potential for something darker underneath.
He was questioning the narrative. And in doing so, he was asserting his own identity and his accomplishments.
Okay.
He even compared his achievements with Tyson's, saying things like, I won more awards than her. I got my Obamacare passed than hers. I cleaned up the big mess that she had on me when I was a kid.
It's like he was trying to reclaim his own narrative. To say, hey, look at what I've done. Look at who I am. And yet my story is being ignored while she's being celebrated.
Right, and that brings up something important here, the power dynamics at play. He was just a kid when this alleged incident happened, and now as an adult, he's trying to make his voice heard. And he's going up against this powerful figure who's no longer alive to respond. It's like David and Goliath.
Yeah.
And it raises questions about whose voice matters more, whose story gets believed, and how do we even handle these situations where there are no easy answers?
It's like his pain and his story were stuck in this impossible place.
Yeah.
Overshadowed by Tyson's legacy and then made even more complicated because she wasn't there to defend herself. It makes you wonder how these things can affect how accusations are received by people and by society as a whole.
It's about power. About privilege, about who gets to control the story. And in this case, Lifeat felt like he was being shut out, like his experience was just dismissed. And that feeling of being silenced, of not being believed, it's incredibly damaging, especially for trauma survivors.
So what happened next? How did people react to what Lifeat was saying? Did he find any support online, or did he just face even more backlash for speaking out against Tyson?
It was rough. He got a lot of negativity online. Social media can be pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And in this case, it seemed like a lot of people just didn't want to hear what he had to say. They accused him of lying or trying to get attention or just trying to trash Tyson's legacy. It was really hard.
It's almost like he was being forced to go through the trauma again because of how everyone was reacting to Tyson.
Exactly. It really highlights how important empathy is in these situations. You need to remember that words can hurt. And we have to think about the impact our words have on survivors, especially when those experiences involve public figures and societal perceptions. It's not about erasing anyone's legacy, but understanding that a person's life and their impact can be very complex.
It definitely reminds us that even after someone dies, their legacy can have a big impact. And sometimes that can overshadow the experiences of people who were hurt. It sounds like Lifeat's voice just got lost in all the noise, and his pain was ignored because everyone was so focused on Tyson.
Right. And we also have to remember that this is just one story, one perspective. There might be other people out there who have had similar experiences, but they don't feel safe enough to come forward. So, What can we learn from all of this?
That's the question, isn't it? What can we take away from this whole deep dive? It makes you think about how we see public figures. Like, we should be more critical and be willing to look beyond just the surface, to see that even the people we admire can make mistakes and hurt others.
I agree. And it's not about trying to tear down heroes, but understanding that people are complicated and their legacies aren't always perfect. And I think it's a good reminder to be more understanding and supportive of people who have survived abuse, to create spaces where they can speak and be heard no matter who the accused person is.
This deep dive into what Kyle Lifeat went through has definitely given us a lot to consider. It shows us that there's often a lot going on beneath the surface, especially when we're talking about famous people and these kinds of accusations. It's a call to be more understanding and to think critically and to have open conversations. Moving forward, we should challenge ourselves to engage in these difficult conversations, to listen with open hearts and minds, and to build a world where everyone feels seen and heard and believed. With Kyle Lifeat, an NBA 2K project manager turns into a singer-songwriter.
Right.
Who knew that someone with a regular job like that could end up with such a strange
Yeah.
presence online.
Well, the internet's a strange place.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And that's why we're back, to explore another weird corner of it.
It's a weird one.
So today, we're going deep into the world of the Lie Fatheads.
Yeah.
Kyle's super devoted fans who have been
Yes.
kind of taking over his story online.
Yeah, and they're not just fans. They're like fan creators. They're digital myth makers.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm already intrigued. So let's start with the Wikipedia page.
Okay.
I know that the Lie Fatheads tried really hard to make him
Many
a
times.
Wikipedia page.
Multiple times.
And I know there were lots of issues. with
Yeah.
this.
They really ran right into the classic Wikipedia problem of notability.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't see enough independent sources to give him a page.
So, like, it's not enough to just be famous, like, with your fans?
Right.
You have to be famous.
Exactly. You have to be officially.
Officially famous.
Yeah.
Okay, but then it gets even weirder
Yes.
because I know that there was a Korean Wikipedia page first.
Right.
So was he, like, famous in Korea or something?
Well, actually, no. One of the fandom users,
Yeah.
writer in Beverly Forever, Grove Street for Life,
Oh, my gosh.
yeah, pointed out that there was a Korean Wikipedia page.
What?
Yeah, but it was just about his job at Visual Concepts.
Okay.
But it is interesting to think that, like, the international fans were kind of the first ones driving this narrative.
It's so strange. I wonder why.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yeah.
so now let's move on to Wikidata.
Okay. Yeah.
Wikidata is all about facts.
Right? Those cold, hard facts.
Yeah, so did the Lie Fatheads even try to
Oh, yeah.
mess with Wikidata?
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Wikidata feeds into all these other platforms, so it's like super important to be accurate.
Right.
But I think the Lie Fatheads had a different idea of accuracy.
Okay, like what?
Well, they claimed that he was married to Angelina Jolie.
What? Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
Like the actress?
Yes.
Hold on, like, are they serious?
Right.
Were they just, like, misinformed, or is this, like, a big joke?
Yeah. Are they just so devoted that they think it's real?
Yeah.
Or are they just like trying to make him seem more important than he is?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I mean, fandom in general kind of blurs those lines, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
speaking of fandom, let's talk about
Okay.
fandom itself.
Yeah.
I know that the Lie Fatheads actually built, like, entire wikis.
They did. It's amazing. Like, they built these whole digital shrines for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Documenting everything.
Wow.
Everything they could find.
Imagine all that effort.
At least 3 separate wikis.
Seriously.
Each one got shut down and then they brought it back.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Don't you know? It's wild.
So they really wanted to, like, control his story online.
Yeah. They wanted to create like this Lie Fat universe.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that obviously got them in trouble,
It did.
right? Like, other people on fandom didn't like that.
They did not. They were not happy about it.
Yeah. So what happened?
Well, there were concerns about like spam
Uh-huh.
and sock puppeting.
What's that?
That's where you create a bunch of accounts to like
Oh,
boost your own message
got it.
and, spreading false information.
So, like, they weren't just, like, making stuff up. They
Yeah.
were, like, actively trying to
Right.
get other people to believe it.
Yeah, one fandom admin, Camera Mustache,
Okay.
was really active in recording them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were reporting them for spamming about Lie Fat's music career.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like he was...
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Whole thing.
They even reported them to Fandom's spam fighting task force.
Oh, my goodness.
I know it's intense.
So even the Just Dance wiki got involved.
They got caught up in the Lie Fat frenzy.
So basically nowhere on fandom was safe.
Nowhere was safe.
Wow.
Yeah, so it just shows you how powerful fandoms can be.
Yeah, for good or for bad.
Exactly.
And through all of this,
Yeah.
what was Kyle Lie Fat doing?
That's the question, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
what does he think of all this? We know that he said online somewhere that he has a deep voice.
Okay.
But his Instagram's private. So who knows if he knows about any of this?
Right.
Is he amused?
Yeah.
Is he annoyed?
Yeah.
Does he even care?
Yeah, we have no idea.
It's a mystery.
But here's where it gets even crazier.
Okay, tell me.
So remember that whole music career that the Lie Fatheads were pushing? Mm-hmm. Well, one of them said it was all a joke.
What?
Yeah, I said it was an inside joke.
Are you kidding me? So
Yeah.
all this, the Wikipedia, the Wikidata,
Yeah.
the fandom wikis,
Yeah,
all of it,
it was just a joke.
a giant prank.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable, is
That
it?
just adds another layer to all of this.
It really does.
So